You're listening to the Plant-Based, Not Perfect podcast, where we talk about striving for our healthiest selves while living in the real world. So, let's get into it. Welcome to episode number 25. I can't believe we're already in the middle of November. So today I wanted to talk all things Thanksgiving to provide you with healthy tips, tricks, and hacks to help keep you on track with eating plant-based. I know that holidays can be one of those times when we go back to our old eating habits because it's easy or familiar. Maybe we give up because family pressure or nostalgia, etc. So I wanted to create an episode that empowers you with ways to ensure you have a healthy Thanksgiving and you don't just derail on November 27th all the way into the new year. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is Thanksgiving Eve. I have gone to many a Thanksgiving meal extremely hungover, so I know a thing or two about the night before Thanksgiving. I do believe in balance, so I wouldn't say not to go out, but I would recommend trying to set healthier intentions for that night. So before you go out, think about how you want to feel in the morning. And if you don't want to feel like shit, then make sure you are drinking a glass of water between each alcoholic drink. Eat a filling meal before you go out, and then chug water when you get home to rehydrate yourself. I have really been trying to be more mindful when I drink and focusing more on the people that I'm with and my conversations than focusing on my empty drink and needing another drink. I've also been limiting how many drinks I have when I go out and trying to be more mindful of how much I'm drinking. And that has made a really big difference for me. Even though I don't go out very much anymore, when I do, I kind of forget that I don't drink very often. So I have to be a little bit more mindful of how many drinks I'm consuming. So I want to do a whole podcast on alcohol. So let me know if you're interested in that because I definitely have a lot to say. So send me a message through Instagram if that is of interest to you. So if you are going out, what should we be drinking? I believe that wine is okay in moderation. It does have flavonoids and antioxidants. You also sip it more slowly than a small mixed drink. I feel like when you get mixed drinks, you kind of drink them quickly, whereas a glass of wine, you take your time a little bit more, so that's good. I also really like the idea of La Piscine from Ingrid De La Mar Kenny. I will link to her Instagram account if you guys don't know about her, but I heard about her through the Skinny Confidential podcast, and she is amazing. And she basically promotes the idea of La Piscine, which means a large bowl of champagne. So essentially, it's a large wine glass with champagne, rosé, or white wine with large ice cubes. So the concept of it is you end up consuming a lot less alcohol. You don't get really drunk. So I think that is a really great idea. And I do that at home when I have white wine or I have cider. I put ice cubes in it and it kind of dilutes it. It makes it go further and then I don't get as drunk. So I think that's a really good hack to know about. Also, when it comes to alcohol, I would try to make sure that you're drinking vodka. It's less toxic than rum or beer, and then request it with a bunch of lemons or limes to keep it free from sugars and syrups. When they add, vodka cranberry, that's really gross cranberry juice. It's not like you're getting anything from that. So stay away from that because when you have really sugary drinks, that's when you feel like total crap the next day. Plus, I feel like vodka is plant-based, it's from potatoes. And I also like cider because it's fermented apples. So in my mind, I believe those are both more plant-based options. And for me personally, they don't give me as bad of a hangover. And with beer, I used to drink only beer, and it definitely adds to weight gain and just like bloating issues. So I rarely ever drink beer anymore. So I plan on doing a whole podcast episode on alcohol. So let me know if you're interested in that. So next up is tips to avoid family drama around food on Thanksgiving. I definitely understand how hard this can be. My brother was vegan when he was in high school. I was in middle school. It was like 20 years ago. And back then, there really weren't as many vegan options as there are today. And it seems like my mom forgets when he was vegan, how they used to always have tofurkey for him and different alternatives. So I feel like I just bring my own food, or I just eat the sides to relieve stress from my mom, because I think what it actually comes down to, it's not that they're not trying to be accommodating, but it can be stressful on a family member when they're hosting the meal and they're trying to make everything for everyone, and then they also have to come up with things for you to eat because they, I think, get a little overwhelmed by it. So just keep that in mind, and I'm going to get into what my tips are for avoiding family drama. So bringing your own food, like I said, is one of the top tips. If they don't know about plant-based options, they're not in this world listening to podcasts, reading all the books, watching the documentaries. Like, to me, it's so normal. But to them, it's very out there. It could be really stressful. They have no idea where to begin. They don't really understand it. So I think that showing them instead of telling them is really the best approach. Just bringing things with you and letting them eat it and see that vegan food can taste good, and it might open their eyes to alternatives that they just never knew about. So another tip in relation to this is veganizing their favorite dishes. So if you know they love mac and cheese or they love spinach artichoke dip, veganize those and bring it with you, and then they can try it and kind of learn from you about how good it can taste. My next tip is don't engage or get argumentative, as it rarely leads to an epiphany for the other person. If they are judging your plate or giving you a hard time about what you're eating or what you're not eating, just say, I feel best when I eat this way, which makes it kind of more about your health, and that's much harder to argue with. If you start getting into documentaries and animal cruelty, it just puts people off. They're not going to listen to it, so I recommend just not even engaging. And then I think just leading by example. If you show up to Thanksgiving, you look amazing, you're glowing, they might ask what you're doing or take a cue from you and add more veggies to their plate. Another approach, depending on how strict you are, is just to show up, eat all the sides, nix the turkey, and no one may even notice. No one may even say anything. I went to my aunt's for Thanksgiving. I didn't eat the turkey, but I ate the sides, and honestly, nobody even noticed. It wasn't brought up. I didn't mention anything, but I wasn't being super strict, so they might have made their potatoes with butter in it or something, and I did have that. So I think that's kind of the whole plant-based, not perfect approach, not being too strict. But if you want to bring your own food with you, you could just fill up on that. And then if you still eat meat from time to time, just make it the smallest portion on your plate and make sure your greens and your veggies take up the bulk of the plate. So fill up with fiber first before you eat the meat. Remember to eat your greens. It will help digest the meat easier in your system. So my next tip I wanted to talk about is not skipping your routine. On the day of Thanksgiving, set up your day for success before you get to the meal by doing your normal, healthy routine. So everything doesn't just go out the window because it's a holiday. So do movement, do a workout, do a light yoga workout or Melissa Wood health workout. Make sure you journal. have a green smoothie that morning, drink lots of water, listen to a podcast that motivates you and puts you in a healthy mindset before you go. Sticking to your healthy habits that day and then repeating them the day after that and then the day after that makes that meal that you had, whether you were super strict or not, it was just an enjoyable moment, not a reason to give up all the work you've been doing and this healthy lifestyle that you're living. It is your routine that sets up your future, not one meal of unhealthy food. So I think keeping your routine is super important, and making sure you're kind of following the things that you typically do. If you meditate, make sure you do that day, and just getting you in a mindful space before you go to Thanksgiving dinner. So next I wanted to talk about Thanksgiving meal ideas that are easy to make plant-based. So I'm going to have all of these meal ideas on my blog. I will link to it in the show notes, but you can essentially veganize all of your favorite Thanksgiving dishes. I'm not really one for fake meat, so I don't really do the tofurkey, but I just stick to my favorite sides, as those were really what I love most about Thanksgiving anyways. So the recipes that will be on my blog are easy mashed potatoes, a vegan mac and cheese, mushroom gravy, green beans with sliced almonds, a spinach and artichoke dip that is amazing. I bring it every time I go to a family get together or a party, and everyone does not realize it's vegan. It's so good. And then I'm going to do pumpkin bread muffins. So I will have all of those on the blog for you guys to check out and get some inspiration from. But if you don't feel like cooking, I've noticed that all of the local vegan restaurants in my area are offering ready-made Thanksgiving dishes that you can pre-order. So that's an easy option as well if you just don't feel like cooking or doing anything. Another idea is to go to Trader Joe's and get an entire Thanksgiving meal there that is completely vegan. I will include a link in the show notes, but on PETA's website, they include how you can put together an entire Thanksgiving meal straight from Trader Joe's. That includes a turkeyless stuffed roast. I'm just scrolling through this here, with a vegan gravy that they have. They also offer stuffing, potatoes, which obviously there's a lot of potato options there. They have a cranberry sauce, a green bean casserole. Let's see. They've got an autumn soup and salad. Now, obviously, it's not the cleanest option, but it is an alternative if you're looking to have a completely plant-based meal, but maybe you don't feel like cooking everything. Trader Joe's does have some options that you could bring along with you to your family's house, or if you're having a Friendsgiving or cooking at home, there's some options there that you could pair with if you want to make some things on your own, but get some of the things from Trader Joe's. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So I hope these tips and tricks inspire and motivate you for a healthy Thanksgiving. Be sure to tag me in any of the recipes you make at Hot Healthy. I love to see your creations. So for the conclusion of this episode, I wanted to talk about something we all know and have heard about related to Thanksgiving, which is tryptophan. And I think we've all heard that you can get tryptophan from turkey, and everybody talks about how it makes you sleepy after. So I kind of wanted to break that myth and show some studies that are related to this, and show you also how you can get tryptophan from plant-based sources. So tryptophan is an essential amino acid that helps with serotonin, which can improve your mood, behavior, sleep, and more. But we don't need it from turkey. In fact, while turkey does contain it, the body can actually have a hard time converting it to serotonin. So a high protein meal actually leads to more amino acids in the bloodstream and more competition for tryptophan to enter the brain. So it's best to get tryptophan from plant-based sources. And I'm going to provide a link to all of the sources that you can get tryptophan from. But the top ones that I thought were kind of related to Thanksgiving are spinach, asparagus, the feared soybean, chia seeds, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and many, many more that I will link to in the show notes. But because it's a Thanksgiving episode, I thought it would be really interesting to kind of look into tryptophan if it was something that you actually need, if your body just produces it. But essentially, if you're already getting it from plant-based sources, then you're already receiving the benefits from tryptophan and you don't need it from eating turkey.